Hey everyone, today I want to show you a little something about typing your API or how you can validate your API with any libraries. Personally, I prefer Jot for this. So I'm going to create a sample project from Vite. So I'm going to hit yarn create Vite, right? And I am going to be using the standard Vite CLI from with yarn. So Vite is pretty great. It uses Go with which runs esbuild, its internal compiler. And so I'm gonna just call it a API project, right? So let's just call it API project. So we're gonna use vanilla TypeScript. So we're gonna use API project, right? And this is how we create this. So it's pretty standard actually. There's not much. So yeah, so you get a source folder, you get a public, and you get a couple of ts configs and HTML files. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this counter file and then style just css typescript svg. I mean, I don't oh, hold on, I should be control. I'm doing this wrong already. So I'm deleting these three files because I don't need them, right? So there's main.ts file, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a separate file for data. So I'm going to call it data.ts, right? And in data.ts, we're going to write anything related to how we fetch our data or get our data. So we're going to create a function called getData. We're going to export it. So most of the time, how you'd type your data is I don't need any arguments for this. So we're just gonna do hey, const response equals await fetch. I don't need I don't need this. Disable globally for now. I don't need Copilot's help. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna fetch http localhost. So we're gonna create a server as well, just for simple testing purposes. So we are going to fetch this API, and we're gonna we're gonna validate if response is not okay. If response not okay, most of the time I see this and throughout a lot of code bases. So new error, and it's if this is response dot status text for now, right? If something's wrong, variable declaration const, not const, I forgot it's an if, right? So you throw an error if the response is not okay, and if the response is okay, the data is await response.json, right? And you just return the data, right? Most of the time this works just fine if you have a server, that is. Let me create a server, right? So we're gonna create a simple server, and it is going to be a simple HTTP server. So I think it now requires import export on Node as well. So import HTTP from HTTP. Why are you alive again? I did disable you. Alright. So, and we're gonna create a server, and it will be http.create server, right? And it takes a request and response, and we first need to allow the course because we will be accessing it from localhost, whatever it is, right? So we're gonna do res dot set header, right? Anytime you want to send something, and I'm gonna copy paste a few of these. So here, so I'm setting access control allowers into everything, and the allow methods are get, post, put, patch, and delete, right? And allow headers like x requested with their content type. Any content type is fine for me, right? And allow credentials is true, right? So I don't think you need these. I don't think you need this. I don't think this is not even required. I think this is fine, even if you just give it this. So rest of set header access control hours in, and that's right, eh? So we need a response data, right? So response data, and I think I can enable Copilot for this kind of thing. So I just need a sample data with name is John, age and city, hopefully, right? And Copilot is really great at generating this fake data for me, at least. So hey, generate more. Jane, 25, Paris. So these are sample data for us for now, right? And London. So these are our response data for now. So we're gonna write res.writehead, right? So we're gonna write our header like state is equal to 200 and content type of application JSON. Now you can go away, Copilot. I don't want my viewers to be confused. And then we're gonna response dot end with our JSON dot stringify this response data, right? Response data. So this is our server format, right? And we're gonna do server dot listen, right? And I'm gonna listen on port 8080 because that's what I'm expecting. You never hard code this in a production environment, but this is just like for testing only, just showing you something, right? So console.log, and we're gonna say like, hey, server running on port 8080. So this is our server. This is a simple server. You can test it with the I think I can just gonna say 5. So wait, control. Yeah, I'm gonna debug terminal. So let me just install the dependencies for the front end project, and now let me just run the server. So server.js, right? And oh, what is happening here? Address already in use. Oh, sorry, I had something else open on 8080. Let me go again. So there you go. We have this open on port 8080, right? So hold on, let me just create a thing with localhost 8080. So you see this is a simple server that just returns this. Oh my god, I'm slipping out. So it just returns this. It's a simple, very simple server, right? So we're gonna go with main.ts, right? And we're gonna write some code that will generate us a table, right? So we're gonna import our get data from ./data, right? So we're gonna import our get data from there, right? And we're gonna have our app is document dot get element by ID, and we're gonna get an app, right? So this is a simple, like a simple web project. I'm not using any frameworks over here. So, and if there's no app, right, when this app is running, since this is a TypeScript, we can just throw a new error saying like app element not found. So why am I doing this, right? You might ask, why am I doing this? This could be either app element, HTML element, or no, right? I could do it like this. I could put an exclamation mark down there and it'll say like, hey, this will always exist. But we don't know, right? We simply don't know if it's possible or not. So when I do this, now when I write app over here, you can see like it is actually an HTML element. It automatically eliminated the condition where it could be null, right? So we're gonna create a new function. So we're gonna call it create table, right? And create table, right? And it takes a data, right? And what kind of data is this now? So you want some kind of data. So what do you want this thing to return, right? So we want our server response to be, right, interface. So like I'll just say like user. I'll just call it user, right? So it'll have a name of string, right? It'll have an age of string. I know this is wrong. This method is wrong, by the way. You shouldn't be doing this. I'm just showing you the wrong way first, and then I'll show you the right way. So there's a city of type string, right? So this is the thing, and this is what you'll be getting. And I can export this, right? Export user interface, right? And what I can do is like this data should be of user, right? Array. And now what will be the headers as like const headers equals, right? And the headers are going to be the how do I call it, is an array, right? It is an array of user, right? User of type number. User, I think like it's key of user. Right? And now it can only be age, it can only be city, and it can only be name, right? So what I'm doing is like I'm setting the key of like whatever keys these are, I'm taking it out and putting it in an array, and that's how you I'm trying to make it type safe, even though I'm going it the wrong way, right? So we have our headers, right? and we need to create our table, right? So table equals document dot create element, and we're gonna call it we're gonna have like create element table, right? And just like that, we can have like table body, right? And table head and table body, just like that. So there's your table, there's t head, and there's your table body, right? And then our table row will be just like that. So we'll have a table row like that, right? So this is our table row. We're just creating it like that. And then I'm going to loop over the headers, right? Headers dot for each. So for every key, for every object in this, for every string in that headers array, I'm looping over them. And our th is going to be document.create element, our table header element, and table header.inner text equals to header. So this header is key of user, which is of type string. So I'm creating the table header like this. So I'm appending the child th in the tr, right? So that's how you appended it. Now what I'm gonna do is like after this, I think the loops end here. I'm gonna format this document so it will be slightly easier, right? So what I'm gonna do is like now I'm going to append this t head in the table, right? So our t head is now in the table, so our headers are constructed, right? And then now what I'll do is like I'll loop over the header, loop over the data, right? This is the array, and for each row, for each object, which is the user type, right? Which is the user object. For each object in that, for each object in that data array, I'm going to create a table row, and I'm going to map over the headers again, the headers that the strings that we just used to create the headers, right? And I'm going to create a td element, right? And I'm going to put the inner text in it, and I'm going to append it to the table row. And now after that's done, I'm going to append the table body, append the row back to table body, right? And now the only thing that's left is to append this table body back to the table, right? And now we can just return this table. So long thing short, what this is doing is just creating a table. It's just creating a table. No need to go over it. No need to be like confused on the no need to like spend way too much time on this, right? So and now what we're gonna do is like we're gonna get data, right? And then when we have our data, right, what we're gonna do is like we're going to create the table with the data, right? So this is how you would normally do. Now the data is of type any. Now let's just see if this works or not. So our server is running and our yarn is running. So we will do yarn dev, right? And it'll open it in this. Oh, it didn't work. Let's see why it didn't work. So oops, there's no errors or anything for now. It didn't work because we didn't attach the table back to our app. So this is our table, right? And now we need to attach it back to our app. So it's like app dot it's append child. Is it append child? Yeah, append child the table, right? So I'm appending it to the table. Now we have our table here. It does not look really that great, but it's fine, I guess, for now. I mean, if you really want the table to be good, I think we can go to W3 schools, right? And table CSS. And there's a CSS table, and try it yourself. And I'll go over here, and then I'll copy this table from here. I'm just copying some styles to make it look good. So I'm just gonna do like style.css, right? And I'm gonna paste it over here. So instead of customers, everywhere there's customers, I'm just gonna write like table, right? And I can import this directly into our, into our TypeScript file because it's running inside of a bundler. So /, I think it's style.css, right? And if we do that, I believe we should be getting there we go. There's our table, right? So did we forget to attach our headers? I think we did forget to attach our headers. So table.append child of t head. Let me check if this is right or not. So table.append child th, and that's gone to tr, right? I think that this is our t head, right? So we are all, I think it should be tr, and the t head should be attached after this. tr, right? I think yeah, this should be t head, sorry. T head dot append child tr, and then like table dot append child dot append child of t head. Sorry guys, I made a simple mistake. There we go. And just like that, I think our table is now ready. Oh, you can see the table, right? So this is how we created our table. This just creates that table, nothing else, right? So this would normally work for most of you, right? For most of you, this is like how you do this. I'm not trying to target people. How I've seen this in multiple code bases, right? But what happens when I change the server response instead of this, like we are sending an object now, I decided, right? Now what happens to the UI, you think? Because I didn't restart the node server. Hold on, let me just restart the node server again. So there you go. I restarted the node server, and when I reload this, nothing. You get nothing, right? This is what happens with multiple of the code bases that I've seen. You don't get nothing, and when you try to inspect, it says like, hey, this data.for is not a function. You don't know what's happening, right? At this case, you simply don't know what's wrong with this. So you try to go back and try to debug, and now you try to create a new function, right? So you create a function called const handle error, right? And then it takes a message of type string, right? And what you do is like const error element, right? And it's going to document dot create element. I'm going to create a simple paragraph tag, right? And then like error element dot style dot color equals red, right? I'm going to make it a red text. And then error element dot text content equals message. I'm just going to do that, right? So what happens is like we're going to dot catch it, right? We're going to catch our error message, and we're going to do handle error with our error dot message if it exists, or when you say like failed to fetch, right? So what you do is like now you reload, right? And did I attach it to the app again? So like app dot append child, right? And append child is error element. There we go. Now we get an error. So it's saying data.for is not a function. You still don't know what's wrong, right? You're still trying to debug it. You're still trying to find it, right? And now what's happened is like, let me break it down to you. You lied to TypeScript, right? You lied to TypeScript, where is that you get your data, which is of type any. That means you lied that this thing will always send back user array. You lied to TypeScript, first thing first, right? So you got this wrong. So the server is sending an object, and you're expecting an array from this data, and you just try to map it down here, and that's how you get the error. So most of the time you get like cannot get cannot get something of undefined, cannot get something of cannot read property x of undefined or something like that. You get these kind of error. So how do you prevent these errors, right? So there's a package called Jod. This is what I really love. So there's multiple schema validators. There's yup. There's I think happy. It's not happy. I think it's something from happy. Forgot the exact name. So you can use yup. You can use Jod. There's other validators as well. Like there's I think like class transformers and class. I think those just do that validation as well. But what I love about Jod is like it's like type first. I think it's in their description. It's a TypeScript first schema validator. So what I can do is like I will add one more terminal over here, and I'll add Jod over here, right? So I'll add Jod. Now what Jod lets me do is like instead of saying that user would be like name city string, instead of doing this interface, what you can do is like you can create a schema. import jet from Jod, right? And now you can drop down over here, and we're gonna say like user schema, right? Schema equals, right, jet dot object, jet dot object, right? And it's jet object, and it's gonna have a name of type jet dot string, right? And then it's gonna have an A's of jet dot string, same thing again. Oops, jet dot string, and it's gonna have a city of jet dot string, right? There you go. Now this is our user schema, and we can also export type of user, and now it's jet.infer, right? And it's type of, right, and user schema. So I think you can do it like this, and you get your type. You see that? This is really beautiful about this library. It's like you get your type scheme, you know, like types out of out of thin air, you know, literally. So now what you can do is like instead of doing this, you don't even have to export this. What you can do is like you can go down here, right? And what you can say is like, now instead of returning data, what you can do is like return, right? And like return user schema, not user schema, I think like const API response schema. I'm gonna create this API response schema. So we need a jet.array, right, of this user schema. This is what we want, right? So this is the jet.array of like user schema. So you want the array of this objects. So jet allows you to do that. So API response schema, right, dot parse, right, and we're gonna parse our data now. So this is how we do it. Now when you look at this, it's going to be a array, a promise of array of this thing. See, very beautiful about this. So what happens now is like, I think you do get the error messages already. If you do not, I think you need a little bit of, oh, you see that those errors. So you see those errors, it's like code invalid. You know, like when you get this error, I think you can actually do parse it. I think you can like I think there's a function called safe parse. There you go. Const parsed equals, right? And if parsed dot success, if the parsed is success, right, we're gonna return our parsed dot data, right? And if it's not, then we're gonna throw new error, right? That's just like API response invalid. So you can see the error message inside, but I'm not gonna go really deep into that, but you can do it like that. Now when you see that, it says like API response is invalid. Now you immediately know what's wrong, right? Because your server is not throwing you the valid, you know, like response type. So be valid, you know, like response type. So you can just check it out over here. It's just giving an empty object, and you immediately know what's going wrong, right? And also your UI does not crash. You at least get a message. So this is what I really love about Jod, is because, you know, like it tells you what's wrong with the API response. You can validate literally anything you want. I'm just showing you a case of API response. This, you know, you can go wild with this thing because it already gives you types, safeties, and everything. I don't think like Yup gives you that. So, and now you have that. And now when you find out your error, you can just like revert that. This is what it's supposed to be, and when you reload this, I think we need to restart our server again. And there we go. Oh wait, hold on. Did I do that right? Did I save this? I think I saved it. Oh, there you go. Now when we reload this, it is still wrong. Why is it wrong? Why is it give us that? It gives name, age, and city. And did I do something wrong without types? Hold on. Name, age, and city, right? So on our data.js, name, city, age, right? This is I think there's something wrong in it. So then that's, you know, like console.error, and we're gonna find out like parsed.error. Let me see what's wrong with this thing. Would you look at that? So there's A's is of type number that I decided over here. So you see, you really get your error messages, right? And it's like throw new error. I think like you can go with instead of going with this, you can go with like parsed dot error dot message. I think you can. Oh wait, I cannot go like that. Hold on. Oops, it doesn't let you like parse dot error dot message. It doesn't give you like that for some reason. Hold on, I think I can still parse it out. Hold on, guys. So we can like console dot error, right? And then we're gonna go like parsed dot error dot message. And let me see. Oh, the error message is actually long. Message. It's a it's a it's something. It's an object. This is an object, and this is an object. Oh, that's why. Parse.error. Let me just take a look at parse.error. So parse.error is going to be an array, and each of them is gonna have a message, right? Parse.error.message.map. Oh, hold on. Dot map, not dot map. Message is going to be a type of string. It says it's a type of string, but it's not actually type of string. So, I'll just go with like API response invalid for now, because it doesn't really like string. Where did I mention that it's going to be in? What's happening? I expected a number on A's. I did put it as a string. Why is it going as a number then? Did I send a number? Oh, yep, I sent a number from here. Oh, the server was still bad. My bad, guys. The server was wrong. Alright, there you go. Oh, wait, I need to restart the server. There you go. Now, there you go. Now it works. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to show you like how Jod was really cool and how it helps you, protect your front end from crashing when the API does not send you a valid response back. You can do these things manually as well, but like manually is very tedious, and of course you are not getting like as good of a TypeScript support as Jod. So yeah, use Jod and save your front end from horrible backends. See ya.